Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And today we're going to have a lesson on multiplying polynomials, specifically binomials. We're going to be focusing on. So it's a great lesson, and so let's get started. So our essential question this morning is, how can you multiply two binomials? Okay, so before I really get going into the major part of this, I want to go through what it means to multiply a polynomial. Now, we're mainly going to focus on binomials, okay? So what that means is binomial would be something that looks like x plus 2, okay? That's an example of a binomial. So when we're multiplying a binomial times itself, we're going to take that x plus 2, and let's just take it times x minus 1, another binomial, okay? So as you can see here, this is, there's two binomials, one, x plus 2, and here's another one, x minus 1. Those are two binomials, and we're going to multiply them together, okay? Now, there's a number of different ways to do this. The book in 15.3, it's actually 7.3, I should change that. The book actually covers the distributive property. It covers using a table, and by far what you're going to be using the most when you move on is the FOIL method. Okay, so I'm just going to talk briefly about the distributive property and the table, and then the main part of the lesson today is going to be using the FOIL method, okay? So let's just talk about the other two in general, all right? Okay, so sorry about the delay there. I just wanted to make sure you got the right screen there. So what basically, there is a couple ways, other ways of working the multiplying binomials. One's called the distributive property. Basically, you take the binomial, as you can see on my screen here, I just have the book up, x plus 2 times x plus 5. Basically what you do is you distribute this first binomial into the second binomial. Okay, so you do that by taking this x plus 2 and just treating it just like the distributive property. So you take it and multiply it times the x, then you add it to the same x plus 2 times the 5. Okay, and then you make sure you do your work, your algebra work here. You end up with combining the like terms at the end, and you end up with x squared plus 7x plus 10. So the distributive property is another way of doing multiplying a binomial times a binomial. Another way is by using a table. Okay, so you could see 2x minus 3 times x plus 5 in this example. In this case, you take a table, so to speak, and you lay your rows and columns out. And on the top column, you have the 2x and the minus 3. And along the column part, or the row part, you have x and 5. So x plus 5 is along, I'd call it like the y-axis table side, and then the x-axis, 2x minus 3. So basically what you do is you say, okay, what is 2x times x? You end up with 2x squared. What is x times negative 3 is negative 3x. And you kind of do this little multiplication using this table. And you combine all of these terms together, 2x squared minus 3x plus 10x minus 15, and you end up with your answer. Okay, so that's using a table, and that's another way of multiplying binomials. So the main part of this lesson today though, folks, is by using a method called FOIL, okay? So FOIL is the method, stands for, each letter stands for of multiplication. So for instance, the F stands for first terms, okay? So the F stands for first terms. Basically what that means is that when you have your binomial here on the screen, you'll see that x plus 1 times x plus 2, the first terms would be x and x, okay? So you multiply the first terms with the F, x times x, and get x squared, okay? Now, what does the O mean? The O means outer terms. So what that means is if you look at your binomial times a binomial, we're going to take the outer terms. So if you think of what are the outer terms in this product, you have a 2 and you have an x, 2 times x. I, what does the I mean? I means inner, okay? So again, you've got your same binomial we're working on. So the inner term would be the 1 and the x, or 1 times x, or x. L stands for last, okay? Last means you take the last term on the first binomial, 1, and you multiply on the last term in the second binomial, 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so FOIL, F, O, I, L, okay? FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So this is the technique that you're going to use most as you move on to next year and beyond. FOIL is you're going to need to understand how to multiply a binomial times a binomial. And FOIL is the acronym for remembering how to do that. First, outer, inner, last. Okay, so what do you do with these terms? You add them all up. Okay, so you x squared plus 2x plus x plus 2, and you end up with your answer by you combining your like terms, 2x and x. Okay, so FOIL's the method, and we're gonna, the rest of this lesson, we're just gonna do FOIL. We're not doing distributive, we're not doing the table method. We are strictly doing FOIL. And hopefully by the end of this quick lesson today, you'll have a really good understanding how to do FOIL. So let's get started on some solid examples. Okay, so we've got this first one, x plus 2 quantity, x plus 5. So you have 2 binomials. You have an x plus 2 is one binomial. You have an x plus 5 is another binomial. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first terms. So the first terms would be x times x. Okay, so as you can see, you've got the x times x, or x squared. Okay, then we're going to add the outer terms. Okay, so if you remember FOIL, I'll just put the FOIL up here. Outer terms. The outer term would be x and 5, or 5x. Next, I, inner terms. Okay, so you see this little inner piece, 2 in the x, 2x. And L is the last terms. The L would be the 2 and the 5, which would be 10. 2 times 5 would get you the 10. Okay, so what happens in this FOIL is that pretty much what ends up being is you've got this combined like terms. You've got your first term, x squared, that stays the same. And then you end up combining the like term, 5 and 2, and you get 7. So you get 7x. And the 10 comes along, and you're done. First, outer, inner, last. FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. That was a great one to start with because everything's positive, okay? Everything's positive. Now, let's go on to B here. And this one has a little -4. So we got to make sure that we do not forget the negative, all right? So again, I'll just put FOIL down to help me out, okay? FOIL, first times first. You have the x times the x, or x squared, okay? The first term of the first binomial times the first term of the second binomial, x squared. Outer, the outer terms would be x and -4, or -4x. I, or inner, 3 times x. L, or last, 3 times the -4, which is -12. Okay, so we have the two binomials. We're using FOIL, and now we finish the problem by combining these like terms. Okay, so you can see in the first two examples, we have the first term and we have the last term, and the middle two terms, outer and inner, become this like term situation. So -4x's plus 3x's is -1x. Okay, so your answer for B would be x squared minus 1x minus 12. Okay, let's move on. This one is example 2. And the only difference here with this FOIL, because we're using FOIL from here on out. We're not, I mean, if you do have your book, you know, if you're looking through the book, you're going to see these other two methods, but I am going to focus totally on FOIL, okay? So let's just do that with this one. First times first, a 2x times the x, okay? And that's 2x squared. All right, next, outer. Okay, so you got first outer would be the 2 and the 5. 2 times 5 is 10x. Inner. Inner will be the -3 times x. -3x. And last, -3 times the 5. -3 times the 5, which is -15. Okay, so now we have 2x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 15, and combine like terms in the inside. For that inside term, 2x squared plus 7x minus the 15. Okay, first, outer, inner, last, the FOIL method. Okay, all right, let's just keep going. Repetition creates mastery here with this FOIL. So I'm just going to keep going through a few more slides with examples. I've got 3 more slides. And let's go to the next one. Okay, a little quicker now, all right? So, all right, y plus 4, y plus 1. Okay, straightforward question. Y plus 4 times y plus 1. All right, so first will be y times y, or y squared. Outer, 1 times y. Inner, 4 times y. And last, 4 times 1, or 4. Okay, combine your like terms. Y squared plus 5y plus 4. And that's your answer for number 1. FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. Number 2, z minus 2 times z plus 6. Okay, so here again, just what's different. Here at a y, now we got a z, it's a variable. So z times z is z squared. Okay, that's your first term. The outer term is z times 6. Now, you're probably wondering, why are you going art sometimes and underneath you do a little smiley face underneath? I mean, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll just note that this is the outer 6 times z. Okay? Inner, you want to think of inside. Okay? Negative 2z. Last, negative 2 times 6, or negative 12. Negative 12. Okay, so don't forget your negatives. And to finish up number 2, we go z squared. You've got your combining your like terms. You have 6 z's, 6 zebras, and then you subtract 2 zebras, you have 5 zebras. Minus 12. And that's your answer for number 2. Okay, let's move on to number 3 now. P plus 3 times P minus 8. We're using FOIL, all right? So first times first, P squared. Okay, P squared. Outer, negative 8 times P, or negative 8P. Inner, 3 times P. We have plus 3P. Last, negative 8 times 3, which is negative 24. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Okay, here's your middle term. You get your middle term is always the combining like terms. Negative 8P, or most of the time. Negative 8P plus 3P is negative 5P. That's your like term, and your first term stays the same, and your last term stays the same. P squared minus 5P minus 24. And that would be your answer for number 3 on your own. Okay, number 4 now, on your own. R times the 2R. Okay, first times first. So 2 times R is 2R squared. Okay, 2R squared. Outer is negative 1 times R, or negative 1R. Inner is negative 5 times 2, or negative 10 times R. Last, negative 5 times negative 1 is plus 5. Plus 5. So your answer is 2R squared minus 11R plus 5. 2R squared minus 11R plus 5. And that would be number 4 on your own. Okay, hopefully you're getting a hang of it now. Let's do a couple more and we'll call it good for today. Actually, a couple more pages. I'll go a little quicker to finish up here because I know I'm getting close to the end of my time. Okay, so x times x is x squared. Outer is negative 6 times x. Negative 6 times x. Inner is negative 3x. Last is negative 3 times negative 6, which is a positive 18. So in this case, you have x squared minus, combine your like terms of negative 9x, and then add 18. First, outer, inner, last. Not aluminum foil, but foil multiplying two binomials. Letter B, 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 5. Okay, so 2 times 2x times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6, and we have an x squared. X squared. So again, 2 times x times 3 times x. Outer, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10x. Inner, 1 times 3, which is positive 3x. And last is 1 times negative 5, or negative 5. And you combine your like terms, you have 6x squared. Now you have negative 10. Now you add 3. So that's a negative 7. Minus 5. 6x squared minus 7x minus 5. Okay, lastly, we just have a few extra here, and I'll cut you loose for the day. Let's do the last page here on FOIL. All right, so we're using, again, there's just 3 extra examples for you to review on the video. M times M is M squared. Outer, first times first. Outer is negative 6 times M. Inner is 5M. And last is negative 6 times 5, or negative 30. So combining your like term, you have M squared minus 1M. Remember, negative 6, and then you add 5, okay, is negative 1M minus 30. FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. And it's 2 binomials. So it's a binomial times a binomial. We're using FOIL, okay? 2 more little examples here, folks. X times x is x squared. Outer is positive 2x. Inner is minus 4x. And last is minus 8. FOIL. Okay, so x squared and 2 x's, you subtract 4, you're at minus 2x. And minus 8. And that would be number 6. X squared minus 2x minus 8. And lastly today, folks, k plus 5 times 6k plus 3. Here we go. So you got the first times the first. K times k is k squared. You got the 6. 6k squared. Okay, next is the outer. 3 times k. Next is the inner, 5 times 6, or 30k. And last, 5 times 3, or 15. 15. And you got your middle term again. 3k plus 30k is 33k. plus 15. So 6k squared plus 33k plus 15. Okay, that's the complete lesson on FOIL. I just have a short little assignment attached to things. Take a good look at it. But hopefully you have a really good idea. We did quite a few examples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 solid examples on FOIL, okay? So hopefully you learn how to, this technique. You know, there's other two techniques, but you know, they're not used as much as you go on into high school, into your next algebra class, and also there's a lot of algebra in your geometry. But hopefully you get the FOIL method down solid. There is those other two methods, but if there's any questions, make sure you reach out to me, and hope to see you guys soon. Take care.